Have you ever noticed something strange? The smarter you get, the lonelier you feel. It doesn't seem fair, does it? You would think that understanding more about the world would bring you closer to the people in it. You would think that seeing the bigger picture would help you connect. But it doesn't. It does the exact opposite. It separates you. It builds a wall. Let me paint a picture for you. You walk into a room. Maybe it's a family gathering. Maybe it's a dinner party with old friends. The room is loud. There is laughter. There is chatter. People are talking about the weather. They are talking about their neighbors. They are laughing at jokes that aren't actually funny. You smile. You nod your head. You play along because that is what polite people do. But inside you are somewhere else entirely. You are watching the conversation, but you aren't really in it. You are listening to the words, but you hear what is underneath the words. You see the patterns no one else mentions. You hear the questions no one else is asking. And in that moment, surrounded by 20 people who might even love you, you realize something terrifying. You are completely alone. Not physically. You can reach out and touch them, but in every way that actually matters, you are miles away. This is the hidden cost of intelligence. This is the price tag nobody tells you about when you start waking up. It is the isolation that comes not from being flawed, but from seeing clearly. Let's get real about what is happening here. Why do you feel this way? Is it arrogance? Is it depression? No. It is simply how your mind works. Intelligence isn't just about knowing more facts. It isn't about reading more books or having a degree on your wall. Real intelligence is pattern recognition. It is the ability to connect the dots. You see A and you see B, and you immediately know that C is going to happen. You follow thoughts to their logical conclusions, even when those conclusions are uncomfortable, even when they are ugly. And here is the problem. Most people do not want to go there. Most people want to play the game. They don't want to question the rules. They want to wear the mask. They don't want to see what is underneath it. They want to look at the emperor and praise his new clothes. They do not want to be the one who points out that he is naked. But you can't help it. You see the loose threads in the fabric of society. You notice the inconsistencies. You hear someone say one thing, but you see them do another. You see the silent agreements everyone has made to pretend that everything is fine when it clearly isn't. And when you point these things out, even gently, even with a smile, people get uncomfortable. They shift in their seats. They look away, not because you are wrong, but because you are right. And being right about things that people want to ignore makes you dangerous. It makes you a disruption. So what happens? They distance themselves. It's not always malicious. It's not always a big fight. It's subtle. They stop inviting you to the casual things. They keep the conversation shallow when you are around. They stick to safe topics. They call you intense. They call you too serious. They tell you that you think too much. And you learn your lesson. You learn to keep your mouth shut. You learn to dumb yourself down. You learn to speak in half-truths so you don't scare anyone. You realize that being fully honest is social suicide. You realize that to be truly yourself is to be truly alone. It's not that you think you are better than them. That's the biggest misconception. People think the intelligent person looks down on the crowd. That's not it at all. In fact, deep down, part of you envies them. You would give anything to just fit in. You would love to just care about the trivial things they care about. You would love to find meaning in the gossip and the small talk. It would be so much easier. It would be so much warmer. But you can't. You have seen too much. You have thought too deeply. You have gone too far down the rabbit hole to come back up and pretend that the surface is all there is. This is what people don't understand about awareness. It is not a gift you can put down when it gets heavy. It is not a switch you can turn off on the weekends. It is a lens. It is fused to your eyes. You cannot unsee a pattern once you have seen it. You cannot unknow a truth once you know it. You cannot go back to simple answers once you understand how complex the world really is. Most people are living in the simple answers. They believe what they are told to believe. They want what they are told to want. They fear what they are told to fear. Not because they are stupid, but because it is easier. It is safer. It is less lonely. But you can't do that anymore, and that is why you walk alone. Now, this is important. This loneliness you feel, it doesn't just happen all at once. It evolves. It comes in stages. And understanding these stages might save you a lot of pain. It might help you realize you aren't broken, you are just awake in a sleeping world. Stage 1 is confusion. This usually happens when you are younger or when you first start waking up to reality. You look around and things don't add up. The adults, the leaders, the people in charge, they say one thing but they do another. Society claims to value truth, but it punishes honesty. People preach kindness, but they practice cruelty when they think no one is watching. And you are confused. You think, is it just me? Am I missing something? You think, maybe everyone else understands some secret rule that I don't. So you try harder. You study people. You observe them. You analyze them. You try to figure out the rules of the game that everyone else seems to know instinctively. But the more you look, the less sense it makes. The rules are arbitrary. The game is rigged, and everyone is pretending not to notice. This leads you to stage 2, frustration. This is the angry phase. You try to explain what you see. You point out the contradictions. You ask the questions that expose the illusions. You speak the truths that everyone is thinking, but nobody is brave enough to say. And what happens? Are you hailed as a hero? No. You are met with resistance. You are met with denial. People tell you to stop being so negative. They tell you that you are ruining the mood. They tell you that you are making things complicated. And you realize something heartbreaking. They don't want to know. They aren't curious. They aren't seeking truth. They are seeking comfort. And your intelligence, your honesty, your clarity, it threatens that comfort. So you stop sharing. You stop trying to connect. You retreat. You pull back. Which brings you to stage 3, acceptance. This is where the maturity settles in. You accept that most people will never understand you. You accept that your thoughts are too complex, too nuanced, too heavy for casual conversation. You accept that your depth will always be mistaken for darkness. You accept that your silence will be mistaken for arrogance. You accept that you will spend most of your life feeling somewhat alone, not because there is something wrong with you, but because there is something different about how you process the world. And strangely, this acceptance brings peace. Not happiness necessarily, but peace. The war ends. You stop expecting others to meet you where you are. You stop trying to translate your soul into simpler words. You stop performing normal for an audience that will never clap. You are simply alone, yes, but you are authentic. You are isolated, perhaps, but you are whole. You are lonely, certainly, but you are no longer lying. And here is the beautiful thing about this 3rd stage. This is where you start finding your own kind. Not many of them, not often. But occasionally you meet someone who speaks your language, someone who sees what you see, someone who doesn't need you to explain because they already understand. These connections are rare. They are diamonds in the dirt. But they are real. And one real connection like that is worth 1,000 shallow ones. This is the paradox. The very thing that isolates you from the masses is the thing that connects you to the few who actually matter. But let me tell you something else about this loneliness. Something that might change how you see it entirely. What if the loneliness you feel isn't a bug in the system? What if it's a feature? What if your intelligence hasn't cursed you with isolation but freed you from an illusion? Think about it. Look at the crowd again. Are they really connected, or are they just clustered together? Are they truly known by each other, or are they just huddled together for warmth against the dark? Most people perform connection. They play the role of friend. They follow the script of relationship. But beneath it all, they are just as alone as you are. They are just better at pretending they aren't. They are terrified of the silence. They are terrified of what they might hear if the noise stopped. You, on the other hand, you have stopped pretending. You have admitted the truth. We are all born alone. We all die alone. And in between, we have these brief moments where we touch another life. But we are fundamentally solitary beings. Intelligent people see this clearly. And because they see it, they don't need the illusion of constant noise to feel okay. They don't need to be in a pack to feel safe. They can sit with themselves. They can think with themselves. They can be with themselves. And they find that it is enough. This is what people misunderstand about solitude. They think it is the absence of connection, but it isn't. It is the presence of self. For the intelligent person, the self is endlessly interesting. You can spend hours in your own mind and never be bored. You can explore ideas. You can build worlds. You can tear them down and build them again. Your intelligence gives you this gift, the ability to be alone without being lonely, to be in solitude without suffering. But society hates this. Society pathologizes it. It calls you antisocial. It calls you depressed. It assumes something is wrong with you because you aren't constantly seeking validation from the herd. But nothing is wrong with you. You are just operating on a different frequency. And yes, that frequency is less crowded, Yes, fewer people can tune into it, but the signal is clearer. Now I want to address the question that keeps you up at night. The question you ask yourself when the silence gets too loud. Is it worth it? Is the intelligence worth the loneliness? Would you trade your awareness for belonging? Would you trade your clarity for comfort? Would you trade your truth just to feel like part of the group? And here is what I will tell you. You can't trade it. That's the catch. You cannot unknow what you know. You cannot unsee what you have seen. You cannot dumb yourself down permanently. You can try. You can pretend. You can wear the mask. You can play small. But inside you will still be you. You will still see the patterns. You will still hear the lies. And that internal dishonesty, that self-betrayal, that is far lonelier than any empty room. Because when you abandon yourself to fit in with others, you lose the only companion you are guaranteed to have for your entire life yourself. So no, you cannot trade your intelligence for belonging. But you can change your relationship with it. You can stop seeing your intelligence as a curse. Stop framing your loneliness as a punishment. Stop believing something is wrong with you because you don't fit into a world that was never designed for people who think like you. Instead, see it for what it is. A different way of being. A different experience of life. Not better, not worse. Just different. And different is always lonely. Always has been, always will be. The artist is lonely in a world of bankers. The mystic is lonely in a world of materialists. The philosopher is lonely in a world of pragmatists. And the person who sees the truth is lonely in a world that values the lie. But here is the secret. Here is what changes everything. That loneliness, that isolation you feel, it is not keeping you from life. It is life. It is the human condition laid bare. It is existence without the comforting lies we tell ourselves. Most people spend their entire lives running from this feeling. They fill every moment with noise, with people, with distractions. Anything to avoid feeling it. Anything to avoid facing themselves. But you can't run from it. Your intelligence won't let you. It strips away the distractions. It sees through the noise. And once you stop running from it, once you turn and face it directly, something remarkable happens. It transforms. The loneliness doesn't disappear, but it changes texture. It becomes less like a wound and more like a space. A vast open space where you can finally breathe. Because when you are no longer afraid of being alone, you are no longer afraid of anything. When you are no longer desperate for connection, you are free to connect authentically. When you are no longer performing for acceptance, you are available for reality. This is the gift hidden inside the curse, the freedom hidden inside the isolation, the strength hidden inside the loneliness. Intelligent people, when they embrace their solitude rather than resist it, become dangerous in the most beautiful way. Dangerous to systems that rely on conformity. Dangerous to narratives that depend on blind belief. Dangerous to illusions that require everyone to nod their heads in agreement, because you are no longer playing the game. You are no longer pretending. You are no longer available for manipulation through the fear of being left out. You are alone, yes, but you are free, and that freedom is threatening to a world built on dependency. So yes, intelligent people are always alone, but perhaps that is not the tragedy we think it is. Perhaps it is the very thing that allows them to see clearly, to think independently, to exist authentically. Perhaps the loneliness isn't what's wrong with them. Perhaps the loneliness is what's right. The world needs people who can stand alone. The world needs people who can think for themselves. The world needs people who can see through the collective delusions and speak the uncomfortable truths. The world needs people who aren't so desperate to belong that they will believe anything just to fit in. The world needs you, even if it doesn't always appreciate you, even if it doesn't always understand you, even if it leaves you sitting by yourself at the end of the night. So if you are one of these people, if you have felt this ache, this distance, this separation, let me say this to you: you are not broken, you are not defective, you are not too much or too intense. You are simply awake in a sleeping world. And yes, that is lonely, but it is also necessary. It is also valuable. It is also exactly what you are meant to be. The loneliness you feel isn't a sign you are doing something wrong. It is a sign you are doing something right. You are being true to yourself in a world that rewards falsehood. You are standing on your own 2 feet in a world that demands you kneel. And maybe, just maybe, that isn't a curse at all. Maybe it is the most profound gift you could ever receive. The gift of seeing truly, thinking clearly, being authentically, even if it means being alone, especially if it means being alone. Because in the end, the only person you need to understand you is you. The only approval you need is yours. And once you have that, once you accept that, once you embrace that, you are never really alone again. You are just free.